Hello everybody, Some Old Man here again, back out in the garden. And today I'd like to talk about building your soil additives. When you put plants in the ground, their roots dig into the earth and they pull out the necessary nutrients and minerals from the earth to grow. And if you don't take care of your soil, then eventually the plants you put in your garden or in your yard are going to suck all the minerals out of the soil, and there won't be anything left. It'll be sterile. It won't be able to continue to grow your plants. So as part of gardening, you need to be taking care of the soil. And there's lots of things you can add to your soil. As you can see, I'm standing right here in front of my compost bin. So I'm going to be building soil that I'll be using to supplement the earth that's out there when I finish growing all the food from this year. Now, when I was working on the compost bin last time, in one of my previous episodes, you saw me going ahead and adding water that had the fish fertilizer supplement, and that was just to go ahead and give it a little bit of a kickstart. There are a lot of other things that I'll be adding to this as I go ahead and add compost to my compost pile, and I've got some of them here today. Now, some of these things you can add directly into the garden, and I will when I get to that point. Here's the first one I'm looking at, is blood meal. This one is a high nitrate fertilizer, 1400. So it's got a lot of nitrates in it, and you can use it if you really want to get a burst of growth when you first plant your vegetables. And I've been watching some other YouTube channels from real gardeners, not somebody who does it part-time like me, that say, okay, you get ready to plant these plants and you dig your holes and you put a handful of blood meal in each hole. Not all vegetables are going to require that kind of boost, but some will. And you need to do a little research on what your particular vegetables that you're planting actually require. But what I'll be doing here is adding a little bit of this into my compost as I layer it. The next thing I've got, I just bought this yesterday, is perlite. Perlite is not really, you'd almost call it foam balls, but it's a filler that actually makes the soil absorb more water. It loosens the soil and actually makes plants grow more easily. If you've got a heavy clay or something like that, it tends to be very dense, and only certain plants can grow well in that kind of a soil. This type of thing, perlite, will loosen the soil up and make it easier to dig in and easier or less likely to compact down, so more plants are able to grow in it. You go ahead and look at any good potting mix, and it uses perlite as one of its components. So I'll be adding a little bit of that to my compost bin too, just to make sure that this soil doesn't pack down too much. Another thing that I have here is soil acidifier. One of the things about different plants are each type of plant likes a particular acidity of the soil. As you see, they've got a picture of a blueberry plant here. Well, things like an azalea or a blueberry plant or any of the cane plants, you know, raspberries and blackberries and such like that, like a more acidic soil. And you can actually get a acidity tester, soil tester, that will tell you how acidic or base your soil is. Now, a normal acidity level, neutral soil will be about a 6.5 or 7. Some things like a more acidic soil, you know, a 5, 5.5 for like blueberries, or even more acidic for some things. Other plants prefer a more base soil with a higher acidity number, a 9 or 8 or something. Now, I don't have any of those type of plants, but I do have my blueberry plants, and the soil acidifier is one of the supplements that I scatter around those plants to make them grow better. Let's go over here to the other side. Garden Tone. This is just plain old fertilizer. It's kind of a even mix with all 3 of the NPK additions, and it's just kind of give your plants a little boost. You can go ahead and add this directly on your plants in moderation, and there are directions on the back to tell you how much to scatter among your vegetables, and it will actually help the growth of the vegetables and replenish some of the materials that the plants are pulling out of the soil. And I've got a couple of others here. Green sand is more of a mineral base. It says provides potash. Basically, this is one of the things that provides the non-NPK things, that, you know, the trace elements that the vegetables want. And I've got another one here. This one I can't even show you the label because it's in another plastic bag, because the original bag. This is organic minerals, and it includes a lot of the things that the green sand does. It's just 2 different variations on the same thing, different minerals that the plants go. I'll go ahead and do a little bit of reading, and I'll throw it up on the screen what those things are so you can see. Now, this is not all of the soil additives that I have. I have a couple more there in the shed that I didn't think it was worth showing you because it's variations on the things I've already got here. But what you want to do when you're working on your garden, either directly in the garden or through a compost bin like I've got here, you want to go ahead and work the soil, because if you build the soil, you're going to build your garden. Another thing that I have done early on when I was building my soil is I would add earthworms, because the earthworms and similar fauna like that will work the soil as well. They'll break down organic material, roots and so forth like that, and help keep the soil aerated. So if you are building a new garden, one of the things you would like to go ahead and do is add worms, especially if there's not any already in your garden. If there are, they're going to spread if the organic material is there for them to eat. But if there aren't, add the organic material and then add worms. They're available online. You just go ahead and Google for them. You'll find them. The place that I go for worms, and I haven't recently, but it's still out there, is Uncle Jim's Worm Farm, and you can get red wigglers or European night crawlers, and they are different worms that have different purposes in the soil. But if you add them, you only have to do it once or twice, and after that they start reproducing themselves and you don't have to worry about it anymore. Right now, I know my garden soil has plenty of worms because anytime I'm digging out there, I usually run across a few of them. Well, that's all I've got for you today. I just wanted to go ahead and share a couple of little things, what I do to promote growth in my soil, and I wish you well and hope you're able to use some of these ideas in your own garden. Right now, I'd like you to go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with your friends. And I'm going to say so long, and I'll see you next time. Some Old Man signing off.